No.
It says
Oh, wait, it says live on
it says
YouTube.
we're live on YouTube.
It says live on YouTube, but on my end, it says it's still. Nope, we got it.
All right.
We are live.
Hey, everybody, welcome to our YouTube channel. We're gonna last minute change up. We're having some difficulty streaming to Facebook today. They probably have a high volume of users since everybody's online, but without further ado, we want to welcome you back to Cooking with Ignacio. He's going to be doing a fantastic little vegetarian dish for us today. And if you have any questions throughout his session, feel free to drop a comment and we'll try to answer those questions as we go along. But go ahead, Iggy, take the floor.
Thanks, Annie. Hi, guys. I'm Chef Ignacio, and welcome back. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed last week's video. This week, we're going to do portobello quinoa pizzas. Our ingredients today are 8 ounces of tomato sauce, about a cup of mozzarella, 3/4 of a cup of quinoa. We're going to use about 1 tablespoon of fresh oregano, 1 tablespoon of fresh basil, 2 cloves of garlic chopped up and minced, half a teaspoon of onion powder. I like my pizzas a little spicy, so I add a little bit of red pepper flakes. We're going to do some salt and pepper to taste. And of course, the star of the show, 4 portobello onions. Mushrooms, sorry. Portobello mushrooms. And remember, the first and most important key cooking is washing your hands. So we're going to go over here. Wash our hands for the 20 seconds it takes. Again, you can sing happy birthday, count the alphabet. I like to just think about a nice sunny day on the beach, and it drifts off in my mind. And by the time I come back, it's all good. Make sure you get your thumbs between your fingers, your wrists. You run your fingers like that to get your nails. And we're good. All right. So the first thing you want to do to get going is the quinoa. This is going to take about 20 minutes, so it's very important we get that going first. I have 2 cups of water here. Turn it on to high heat. Put that in. Get quinoa. Get that in there all nice. I have a little fork so I can stir it in, make sure it's all incorporated into the water. And we're going to get that up to a boil. And then when it gets to boiling, we're going to reduce it down. We're going to cover it and have it simmer. I'm actually going to start the timer. Boop. All right. Now, while that's going, we're going to get de-rib or de-vein our portobello mushrooms. The first step on this is to break off the stems. It's really easy. They should just break off with a little bit of force. Beautiful. We don't need these. Toss these away. Next, we're going to get a spoon and tilt it in and just scrape away all of those ribs. It's nice and easy. We want to try to keep the ridges intact because that's going to hold in our quinoa and the sauce. So as much of the ribs as you can. If you can't get this part, it is okay. It doesn't affect the flavor that much, or really at all. It's just a kind of a texture thing. You get rid of all those ribs. Just like that. And I really love portobello mushrooms. I think they're my favorite mushroom to have ever since I was kind of young. I always hated mushrooms and never really liked them, but I started making this dish, and this was the first thing I actually really liked. And when I was working at Compo, we had to use oyster mushrooms all the time, and I thought, all right, if I'm going to be cooking with mushrooms, I need to, get used to them and enjoy them more. So I started eating mushrooms literally every single day I worked until I liked them, which was really difficult when you hate mushrooms. But the beautiful thing about this dish is that even though the base is going to be the mushroom, the texture of it really isn't that bad. And I've actually made this for some of my friends who are being vegetarian or trying to be vegan, and they want something fun to do. So I make them these, and even though they hate mushrooms, they surprisingly like this a lot. All right. So now that we have ribs all out, we're going to grab our olive oil, do a little drizzle on the bottom, and then add a little salt and pepper to taste. Nice little seasoning. All right, so our quinoa is up to a boil. Reduce that down to a simmer and cover it. Next, we're going to flip over our mushrooms. Add some oil to this side. And get the spoon and kind of smear that around. Beautiful. All right. A little more salt and pepper. And now we're going to add these to our oven that is preheated to 400 degrees. Right there. Excellent. That's going to go for 10 minutes. And that allows the mushrooms to just soften up a little bit, kind of start to cook through. And that way when we put it back in with all the quinoa and everything on top of it, it'll be nice and soft. It won't be chewy, and it's going to be nice and pleasant. All right, now that we have that, we're going to get our mixing bowl for the quinoa. I'm going to start cutting up our herbs. So I have some oregano here, fresh from the house in the garden. Lovely oregano. I absolutely love adding this to any type of Italian dish I do, especially seafood. What's great about having it fresh from the house is that you don't really have to use dried oregano for much after that. You just have it here, nice and fresh. All right, now that we have it picked, let's take our knife and just do a rough chop of it. All right. Remember when you're chopping with your knife, pinch it up here, grip it, and when you're doing the chopping, put your hand over on this side, and just back and forth motions. Make sure you hit all the pans while you're doing it to make as much noise as possible. Into the bowl. All right, next we're going to get basil. I'm going to show you guys how to chiffonade basil. So what you do is you grab your biggest leaf, spread it out, and then when you want to take all of the other leaves, going from the biggest to the smallest, and just lay them in there nice and snug. And we're going to roll this up. like you're rolling tobacco for a cigar. You get your knife and just gently rock it like that. And then what you get are these nice little ribbons. You see, you get these nice little ribbons. This makes the basil a lot easier to eat. It looks nice if you want to put it on top of a pizza after it's cooked, or salad, or like a burrata or a charcuterie board. Chiffonade is always the way to go. You can use it for like mint, lettuce, any herbs really, if you want to just chiffonade it. That was always my way to go. And in a culinary school, they're very picky on the size of the chiffonade, where they wanted it maybe like as thin as possible. So something like that thick would be far too large, and I'd have to do all of it over again. But it's good because all of it is learning. Into the bowl. Left a couple of leaves, I gotta get to those. Rolling it up. Make sure you get that slicing, rocking motion when you're slicing your basil. If you are just chopping it like this, you're gonna start bruising the basil, and you're gonna see on your cutting board it starts turning green, and that is not what you want, because you're breaking down the cells of the basil as opposed to nice slicing it. You're just kind of beating it in half. And that's the easiest way to tell if you're slicing your herbs right. Even if you're chopping up parsley or oregano or really anything, you want that nice slicing, that long kind of slice motion to cut through it, as opposed to just chopping it down. Unless, I mean, that's kind of more of a clean cutting board thing, but I always try to do that. All right, so we have our herbs in the bowl. Next, we're going to add our 8 ounces of tomato sauce. Get that nice and mixed in. We'll also add our garlic. There we go. And our onion powder. Now, the tomato sauce is really kind of a subjective thing on what you like. I kind of tend to go for cheaper stuff, but when I am hosting parties or I'm hosting people, I like to go and grab a nicer form of tomato sauce. Or what I'll do at home is I'll just roast some tomatoes in the oven, like some Roma tomatoes or any tomatoes. Roast them off with a little salt, pepper, and oil, and then blend them, make a nice like puree, blend it all nice, and then that gives that kind of nice smoky flavor. The nice little smoky flavor of everything. I'm checking out quinoa. Looking good. We're gonna fluff that up a little bit. Let's see how close it is. Maybe another about 10 minutes left on the quinoa. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to that. Perfect. Let that keep going. All right. Now I'm gonna add my pepper flakes. Like I said, I like it spicy, so I add a very heavy amount. But if you don't want it spicy, or you don't want it as spicy as I do, feel free to leave out the red pepper flakes. That's just a personal preference. All right. With that all mixed in, we're going to add a pinch of salt, a little dash of pepper. We have our sauce ready. So when the quinoa is finished, we're going to add the pot of quinoa straight into the sauce. We're going to stir it up, make it taste good. We're going to try it to see if it's well balanced with the seasonings of the salt and pepper. If it needs a little bit more and a little bit less, you know, add a little bit, try it out. But if not, then we're going to pull the portobellos out and stuff those. We've got another few minutes. So for our mozzarella, I like to use kind of like wet mozzarella or mozzarella in water. And the brand I usually prefer to go to is Bel Gioioso, I think. Bel Gioioso. If you know how to pronounce that, please let me know. This is our burrata. We've used the burrata in all the restaurants I've worked in, and we, as well as the mozzarella, I find it delicious. It has a great milk solids and content. And with making pizzas, I get the wet version that's kind of the soaking in water, and I'll chop that up like I did here. And it's just like, it's a nice creamy mozzarella. I like using wet mozzarella instead of a kind of like a dry shredded. I think it gives a little bit better of a flavor. I'm not a big fan of, you know, having charred cheese, like kind of brown cheese. In my opinion, it tastes a little bit burnt, but I also am picky. A lot of other people, though, they really like to have kind of that nice browning of the cheese, which is totally fine. With this recipe, you can do that in, when we're finished, you turn your oven to broil, and that'll toast the top, and keep that on for about 3 minutes. That'll give it a nice brown flavor. All right, let's check on the quinoa. Oh, yeah. Give that a try. About 1 more minute. That is our timer for the portobello mushroom. So we go into our oven, pull those out. Love it. All right, we're gonna bring those over here. I have a little hot pad so I don't burn my cutting board. It really melts it because it's fine. See that, beautiful. Here's the beginning to get soft. And you'll see that they kind of start pooling water in, on the inside. And what we're gonna do is get a paper towel and just dab up that water, so we don't have to worry about it kind of liquid, making our pizzas a little more liquidy, a little soggy. All right. Beautiful. All right, so our quinoa looks ready. Nice, it's soft, it's cooked. We're gonna take this, add it to our sauce. There we go. As I bury my spoon in quinoa, so I get to fish it out later. Beautiful. All right. Give that a nice mixing. No quinoa is going to be left unsauced. Excellent. Now let's give it a taste. See how it is. It's pretty dang good. Just needs a little salt and a dash of pepper. Boom. We are ready to stuff our mushrooms. So see how they're starting to pull some water? We're just going to tip them over. Get some of that out. Dab it dry with a paper towel. And now let's start filling them up with quinoa. Boom. Do you have a little leftover quinoa after you stuff your mushrooms? Totally all right. That's just a little snack for later. Quinoa is very nutritious and very healthy. It's something I love to make at the house. I'm trying to get on my healthiness. Next, we're going to add some mozzarella. Give it a nice covering. Nice and even. Boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. All right. These are ready to go back into the oven. In they go for 10 minutes. Go. So I really like quinoa when I'm trying to be healthy. It's one of the things that is really like, it has one of the highest proteins for like plant-based proteins that you can get. So it's always a really good option for something that has, if you're trying to substitute for chicken or for meat, that's a really good option. And it's pasta. You can just add to some sauces. You can add it to really anything. There's a lot of stuff you can do with quinoa. It's very versatile. Or if you were trying to bulk up and you're going to the gym, you can add quinoa to your chicken dishes as your starch. And it's fantastic. That's one of my favorite things to do. Plus, you have you can actually grind up quinoa and make it a flour. So if you want to bake with it or make dough, you can grind it up, and it's like awesome. It's like protein heavy pizza dough, which is the best thing. Different timer. So in this time, I like to clean up, make everything look nice and pretty again. Get rid of all the dishes I don't need. Toss out the trash. Actually, if you have a glass of wine, now's a good time to take a big old sip and congratulate yourself. You are 90% of the way there of being done making quinoa pizzas. Do you guys have any questions so far on anything? Leave us a comment down below. Let us know, and we're happy to answer them. I'd also like to give a nice thank you to my camera lady, Kellington. She is fantastic. Also, I want to say, hi, Mom. I love you. I'll call you tonight. All right, let's see where our pizzas are. Give them a little check and just see how they're looking. Oh. You see our cheese is getting nice and melted. Starting to spread out all even and nice. I'm going to add a few more pieces because I love cheese. Cheese. Back in the oven it goes. Another 5 minutes we have. Perfect. A little bit more oregano. So for this dish, I like to garnish it with either a couple leaves of oregano or basil. I think basil looks really nice. Like you get that one big leaf sticking up from it. It's very pretty. But at the same time, I like the oregano because you can kind of coat it a little bit more. Or you can do the chiffonade of basil, like we saw earlier, and that's always a really good garnish for anything. I like to top my pizzas like that sometimes, just having a nice little chiffonade of everything. So we have some basil picked, or some oregano picked. All right. So while we wait for our mushrooms to cook, take a little tour of Zeppelin. So this is our front line. This is our hot line. Here we have our grill station, our saute station, which I was working on, and then our garde manger, where we make our salads and our charcuterie. Back here is our kind of our cold kitchen. We have our pizza oven, a 4-decker pizza where we do our onion dips, cheese dips, amazing types of pizzas, flatbreads. Oh man, they're the best. Over here we have our pastry station. Our lovely pastry chefs Camille and Andy do a fantastic job making all of our little sharing pastries and desserts and cookies that I like to sneak every now and then if they don't know. And over here is our raw bar. We make sashimis. We have a lobster bacon avocado dish that is just absolutely amazing. We have our what is it, ahi tuna. We do. And we have oysters. We do freshly shucked oysters as well. They're always rotating. They're really nice. They're one of my favorite things to binge on. I have like my guilty pleasure when I started working back here is just shucking a bunch and eating them. And we also have an amazing ceviche. We have an ahi tuna ceviche and a fish of the day ceviche. Both are just absolutely incredible. So when we come over here, we have our restaurant. Zeppelin has that nice mood lighting for all of your casual dining experiences. We have 2 large meeting rooms where you can have parties with your coworkers, bar mitzvahs, you know, birthday parties, anything you want to do. We have an amazing bar staff and any high-end liquor you want, and they just make the absolute most amazing cocktails. Annalisa, our head bartender, is just the best. In my opinion, she's the best in Reno. So if you ever come into Reno and you want the best cocktail, come see Annalisa. Even if she isn't here, come see her. She's the best. All right. Coming back to our kitchen. Let's check on those pizzas. Oh, yeah. One of them is starting to spill over. But at this point, I want to put them into the salamander. Or if you have your oven, put it on broil. I'm just going to toss these in here for about 2 minutes. Move them up a little bit and get that nice color, that meltiness that we want. All right. Get rid of this. We don't want that. If you compost, it is an amazing compost thing to build. And our chef Jakin, he actually has a farm. He grows in the summertime, the springtime, he grows all of his own, all the tomatoes and cucumbers, a lot of the produce that we have here. We have a lot of peppers too. Like we have these like prosciutto peppers, little spicy ones, bell peppers. Pretty much, like I think 50% or 70% of our produce comes from his farm, and it's just fantastic. Down in Washoe Valley, he comes every day. He has this big bin of compost from the restaurant, takes it down there, brings the empty bins back, and then we get to see all of his like fresh basil, all the herbs, and it's just the most amazing fresh produce we have. And I think they're some of the best tomatoes I've had in Reno, to be honest. Which is why like super fortunate here at Zeppelin to have Jakin as our chef. He grew up in a vegan household, so he's really trying to do the whole farm to table, eat healthy. You know what you're eating or where it's from. It's one of the best parts of working here. Having that ability. All right. So here we have our portobellos. These two kind of flopped out, but they're still going to be absolutely fantastic and completely delicious to eat. We will bring those over here. A little hot plate. A little spatula. Oh my God, look at that cheese. Scoop that up. And voila. Portobello quinoa pizza. An amazing vegetarian meal to eat healthy in this time of stay in your house and shelter. Let's cut into that. Beautiful. The portobello is nice and cooked all the way through. The cheese is spilling off the cutting board. Amazing. All right, guys. So that is this week's dish. If you guys have any comments or requests for next week or further videos, just comment below, let us know. And don't forget to go like Urban Village. They are an amazing company. And I'm so happy to be part of it and, do these videos with you guys. All right, till next week. Have a good time, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Iggy, for another lesson. That was definitely one of my favorites. I know I try not to eat much meat, so I'm hoping that you guys can find a benefit in trying out some delicious vegetarian dish, maybe during this time of self-isolation with your families or roommates, friends. But Iggy will be back with us next week on Tuesday. Tomorrow we have a garden workshop that will go live at noon Pacific Standard Time. Thursday, we're going to have a fun little musical guest doing an acoustic set. Friday, we have a beekeeper, and Saturday, we're going to do some trivia. So stay tuned and check out our events page on our Facebook to keep up with our online series. All right, guys, thank you.